So, Johnny, you were at Linfield Qarabg last night.
Yeah, it was. It was just a friend of mine decided to go up to the game, and he was messaging me to say he was going, and I was actually kind of... I was up in Gavin Cromwell. I was kind of vaguely up in that part of the country to an extent.
I mean, you know.
I said, I hadn't been to Windsor Park. Yeah, I wasn't really doing much either, to be fair, but hadn't been to Windsor
Belfast,
Park
not
since.
that close.
No, but it's actually remarkable how close Dundalk and Belfast are. Dundalk is closer to Belfast than Dublin, I think, for a game.
It feels that way.
If this All-Ireland League ever happened. So, hadn't been at Windsor Park since Cork City played there a few years ago, and it hadn't been properly done up. So I said, why not? And I'd seen Qarabg in action in Baku, and I thought they were a really good side, so I was like, why not?
Yeah, what happened?
I had a bet on Qarabg -1. I thought they'd absolutely, honestly, I thought they'd batter Linfield. Now, they were missing a few players, so the first 37 or 8 minutes, they ran the show. They were 1-0 up, should have been maybe 3-0 up. Linfield got what looked a soft enough free, scored from it. Corner kick before half time, there probably should have been a free out for Qarabg, scored from it. 19-year-old ex-Everton striker, Lavery. And so went in half time. You're expecting Linfield will be under pressure second half. They managed the game really, really well. A bit of a punt downfield, defender messes up. Lavery, who's this small kind of burly, speedy striker that just ran and ran and ran. I think he's only 19 years of age. Hounded the centre back into a mistake, turned kind of towards goal. He's actually right-footed, but flicked it onto his left foot into sort of the top corner. An amazing 3-1, and they were holding on quite comfortably, and then last kick of the game to give away a penalty, and you're thinking at 3-1 because Qarabg did look a bit of a ramshackle. They were kind of giving out to each other. They'd obviously blown a big chance of getting into Champions League by losing to Apoel, who've given a very good account against Ajax subsequently, but they probably felt on the downer that they weren't in the Champions League. Came there thinking they'd win easily. Raucous crowd in North Belfast, and they were found South Belfast even, but they were put to the pin to their collars, and Linfield won the game 3-2.
What was it like?
Windsor is really impressive, padded seats, normal seats, really impressive stadium, good facilities for in terms of food and drink beforehand. You feel like you kind of feel like you're at a Northern Ireland game. It could be vaguely intimidating if you were from
Was it?
You don't really want to be going to a ground where 200 or 300 yards from the ground there are UVF flags. Ideally, I wouldn't like to see flags of any paramilitary organisation. Obviously nothing to do with Linfield, but it's in that area. There are obviously Union flags around the ground, Union flags in the ground. I've no issue with that. That's Linfield's prerogative. That's the prerogative of fans.
Chatting to fans?
Did you feel not so much last night.
I never, Johnny from Galway.
I put it up on Twitter, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, did they spot the Fenian in you? Did they spot your accent? Did you get out live?" I've been to Belfast many times, and I don't see why I should be afraid of going anywhere. My welcome's always been great, particularly in the Oval in East Belfast. Terrific welcome. Linfield has a slightly different feel to it. It does seem kind of more of the loyalist side to it. You wouldn't see nearly as many flags. I
think there's definitely parts of Belfast that you're not going around chat. I think you need a guide in parts of Belfast.
Yeah, but I just don't like that attitude. If I'm of the opinion, if people will talk to me, and I will completely respect their opinion, if they want to beat me up because I've a southern accent, I think that day is gone, to be honest. I hope it's gone. There's a lot of tension in the north. I think the north's in a very dangerous place at the moment in terms of Brexit and the failure of Stormont or whatever, but I'm a football fan, they're a football fan. My bet went Pete Hong, but I was cheering on Linfield towards the end of that game because I would like to see a club from the island of Ireland, and they style themselves as the most successful club in Ireland despite their strong British identity or whatever up there. I was cheering them on, and the last time I was at a Linfield game, I remember I was talking to a guy at the game who just randomly was sitting in front of me, big Rangers fan from Ballyclare, which would be a fairly staunch Protestant heartland.
Ballyclare comrades.
And we had a great chat for the second half, and I remember my friend saying to me that could well be the first guy from the south he's ever actually spoken to, and I just love going up there. I don't think you should ever be afraid, because just because you have these perceptions in your head.
Well, how else are you going to learn things if you don't try new things? David Healy obviously looks like a decent manager now.
Amazing, and Linfield were set up really, really well. They were, let's be honest, they're playing against a team that are miles better than them, who beat Dundalk comprehensively, comfortably, and maybe Dundalk made them look a bit better than they were in hindsight. But Pat Fenlon's been involved there. Linfield went on a summer training camp to Marbella or somewhere in Spain, which wouldn't be that usual for a Northern Irish team. It really stood to them, and they've gone through this is their third round of combat now. They've been lucky with the draw, but it was a sensational performance. The regret was that they gave away a silly penalty.
They had 68% possession at one point, Linfield. That was a stat that came up at one point during the game.
I'd find that very, very hard to believe. Maybe it was 10 seconds into the game, but they were under the cosh. The funny thing was the guy
has bad stats for me there.
The guy who took the penalty. I was talking to Stephen O'Donnell after the game, and he said he was at the game.
Right.
And he said, I actually went to the game with him, but he said that we had done our homework on all the penalty takers, as they did for Riga, and Dundalk went through against Riga, but they'd done their homework on Qarabg's penalty takers, including this guy who was ex-Everton, actually, I think, who came off the bench and took the penalty. And I said to him, he's done the Panenka, and he goes, he always does the Panenka. So if Gary Rogers had faced the guy who got the penalty, he would have known.
No.
So maybe that was one thing that Linfield, if Stephen O'Donnell is to believe, they had done their homework.
That's the resources that Dundalk have that not everybody else has, and which you didn't see on the pitch. So that, Dundalk probably deserve to get a bit of criticism. They probably will come in for a bit of criticism for.
Yeah, I don't think Dundalk really have performed to their best ability in Europe this season, for various reasons. A lot of it to do with injury. But Linfield, the place was heaving, and you can't but come away and think, imagine Dundalk or Derry City playing up here. There would be a bit of tension, but it'd be great for football. It's a fantastic stadium.
Maybe there could be an event the night before to remove the tension. Maybe you then realise the tension isn't football fans. The tension is just a bunch of hardcore people who want to make trouble.
Yeah,
and they're using football as a fig leaf to do that.
Yeah, and they have games up there. Linfield and Glentoran do not like each other at all.
So they know how to police games.
They do. They absolutely know how to police games, and it was 4,300 at the game. Funny enough, when I was walking up the steps, a Finn Harps fan comes up to me and he's like, how's it going? I think you're a Go United fan, are you? I saw you had a Go United game earlier this season, so I was like, you
felt comfortable.
I felt fine. I don't.
The tea's not very nice though, is it?
What's that?
The tea's not very nice.
No,
Teddy's shite or whatever.
But they wouldn't have Barry C up there. But
chimps, whatever that one.
Why would you be afraid to go to a game up there? If you talk to the people, you'll find that they're pretty much very similar to we
should get an off the ball bus and we should go to a Linfield game.
Yeah,
that's what we should do.
Yeah, I prefer Glentoran, but each their own. The Linfield Glentoran game will be interesting in September. The big two derby, as they call it. But you see the game up there. Linfield have huge potential. Really, they are kind of like the Rangers of Belfast.
So you've come back thinking an All Ireland League is a more viable and better thing, because when this was all started, how many of the teams in the north are going to be any good? It's going to be things have flipped on their head pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Linfield actually lost in the league at the weekend, but they'd be well set to play in the Premier Division in Ireland, definitely. Now they're probably ahead of others in terms of resource and potential, but you want to see the AstroTurf training pitch where I think the Linfield ladies team plays and the reserves may play there, with great facilities around, proper stadium.
Johnny, good stuff. Sounds interesting. Thanks very much.
Not at all, Ger.